Virtues are the qualities of the transformed heart. That if we're doing real spiritual, psychological work and we're working through the different forms of suffering and difficulty that live in our emotional lives, we get transmuted into another kind of person. And that kind of person has these qualities that were called the virtues in the ancient world. So the virtue I wanted to talk about is from point 4. And this virtue is called equanimity. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it because it's easy to misunderstand. Equanimity comes from working through our feelings of frustration and disappointment and envy and feeling we get the short end of the stick. Most people at some point or other feel that way. We have a lot of childhood wounds we're carrying around, and part of the process of spiritual awakening and development entails addressing some of those difficulties from our childhood that leave us feeling inadequate and lots of things. As we start to get impressions of what we really are beyond those patterns and the self-concepts that they produce, the stories that they render in our mind, and often negative stories, we come to a kind of clearing of the heart, a quieting of the heart, where the sort of turbulence and emotionality by which we usually locate our heart kind of subsides. We're left with this deep oceanic quality. This is moving into the realm of equanimity. Equanimity is like an oceanic, vast, deep stillness of heart, a neutrality of heart. Now, lest we think that this means that we're not going to have any more feelings, it doesn't really mean that. This is not like being shut down or spaced out or disconnected. We're more connected than ever. But now that we're into the roots of the heart, this very neutrality and stillness holds all of our emotional reactions. So that means that we can have any human feeling, from joy and bliss to despair and sorrow, from anger to giddiness. We can experience the full range of emotions that a human being can have in ourselves or in another person. And there is this deep holding of the heart that lets us experience that emotion without getting stuck in it, making it mean anything particular about who I am or who the other person is, without weaving a whole narrative out of it, and without skipping over it or rejecting it. So all the feelings get to just be. They come and go freely, and in the spaciousness of heart, we get to be fully human with the full panoply and range of heart experiences that a human being can have. And it's this neutrality and depth, this equanimity, that makes that possible without us getting tangled in the stories and ideas and so forth that get attached to those feelings. So that's the virtue of equanimity. So hope that's illuminating and helpful for you.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I am filled with joy and really feeling honored to practice alongside all of you as we take these journeys through these different revelations, illuminations, understandings, and insights. And one of the transmissions that I'd like to offer to all of us as we explore a little bit about what practice and experiential exercise can be around awakening and the depth approach to awakening is that you have the capacity. I think this is one of the most surprising things that happens for people when they practice is things that they didn't think they could access before, qualities of being that they used to describe themselves as saying, I'm this kind of person and I'm not that kind of person. One of the most powerful things about experiential practice is you begin to realize these were just limited notions of who we are and what our capacity is. So I want to invite everyone now, as we just do a small practice about equanimity, to take in a slow, deep breath. And when you breathe out, just relax your whole body and allow yourself to consider that you have really infinite spacious capacity. So these things that we talk about, like the virtues, the transformed heart that really opens up into a place of universality and a kind of boundless heart, a boundless love, that is actually within you. It's not just a notion. And you can have a visceral experience of it by just breathing in and then relaxing so deeply on the exhale that you can begin to feel capacity open up. So as we're doing that now, let's turn our heart towards the virtue of equanimity through the doorway of what we perceive often as an undesirable experience, which is the experience of disappointment. I don't think there's a human life that's ever existed that hasn't felt disappointment. So as you're breathing, just even my saying that word, disappointment, it's so real for all of us. Can you allow your heart, as Russ was saying, this virtue of equanimity can hold all of the human emotions. So can you allow your heart to be present to disappointment that you have experienced in your life as a child, growing up, as an adult, and maybe even in this moment? And what is it, instead of telling a story about that disappointment, instead of having some kind of emotional reaction to it, instead of wanting it to be different, or trying to rise above it, or trying to comfort yourself in the face of it, what if you let go of all of those strategies right now? What if instead we inhale deeply, and when we exhale, we relax out of trying to comfort ourselves? When we inhale, we feel the life force. And when we exhale, we relax out of trying to fix the disappointment. When we inhale, we say yes to life. And when we exhale, we relax the protections and the denials about the disappointment. And you could go on, just noticing these different ways that we react to disappointment instead of be present to it. So instead, I want to invite us now, right with our knowing that disappointment happens, that it's part of life, and that our heart feels these things, sometimes acutely, sometimes so much that it feels like your heart's going to shatter. That right now in this moment, without running from it, fixing it, soothing it, denying it, we're just going to breathe with it. We're just going to bring the deep breath, a conscious breath, into contact with the pain, the disappointment. It might even be a visceral sense in our heart. And watch what happens when presence and disappointment come together. One of the first things you might notice is a loosening up of a grip that was in your heart, or a kind of seizing up or a contraction. That contraction loosens up and the gripping loosens up. And there's just a little bit more relaxation and a little bit more spaciousness. And I want to invite you to see right now that in the very moment that you're feeling disappointment, there is also spaciousness. And that spaciousness can feel other aspects of your heart and other aspects of life, while still tending to and responding to the disappointment. And as we continue practicing this way, if we would lean into this for many, many minutes, and we would start to do it for other qualities such as frustration and such as envy, we can start to feel a vast spaciousness open up in which all things can be felt. And that's what brings this oceanic feeling of equanimity. That which can hold even what seems unbearable. And so I'm going to invite us now at the end of our practice here to breathe in with a sense of reverence for the capacity and breathe out with a sense of ease. And allow that breath to actually rock you in a sense of oceanic spaciousness. A sea of being on which there could be disappointment, envy, frustration, confusion, fear, suffering. But the capacity of our heart choosing to stay present with that actually makes our heart more spacious and larger. And now there's something holding all of it. And that's who we are, really. That's what our transformed heart is. Thank you.